What's up, everybody? Welcome to Murals in the Market Live. As usual, the sun is out. Another beautiful day. Yeah, it might be a little bit chilly, but it ain't that cold. You know, we're all from Michigan, and we know how this shit works, all right? Don't be acting all crazy and turning your heat up to 75 and all that jazz. You know, it'll probably be 60 next week, so don't be bugging out, all right? How's everybody doing today? Welcome again. Jason Hall of Ride Detroit. I just want to do a proper thank you to a couple people because last week Jesse had me so out of my mind before I started I couldn't even get my mind straight. So let me go back 2 weeks and thank Desiree Levy Vincent for the craziness that we talked about with the election. She gave me all kinds of gems. She told me to calm down. I, of course, did not calm down. Lost my mind. Talked about buying a bulletproof vest the next day because I was losing it because the numbers were going the wrong way. But shout out to Detroit for stepping up and getting your asses out and voting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They can say Detroit saved Michigan. So, hey, we saved the country. You know what I'm saying? So roll with me on that one. So thank you for that one. And then thank you to Jesse and Dan of One Times Run, man. Last week, basically, I thought I knew everything about what was going on inside that place until they pulled out the archives. And then it made me mad because I own like 2 pieces of art and none of them were as sweet as that. And I can never afford that stuff. But anyway, thank you for the tour of One Times Run. The warehouse was dope. Thank you for those guys. And Matt, thank you for the love they gave me on and off line last week, man. It was just amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They are my brothers. This is my family, and I cannot express that enough. All right. With that being said, now that I ran my mouth, we can move on to this week. This week's guest comes to us via, believe it or not, Mexico, but like a long time ago. So we're going to talk about that, and we'll get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Ivan Montoya, what's up, brother?
How's it going?
How are you, sir? I'm going to stand back a little bit, but so you might have to speak up a little bit. But let's get started on this, man. For those who don't know who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name's Ivan Montoya. I am an artist here in Detroit. Currently out at the Fisher Building with a couple other Murals in the Market alumni. I was born in Chihuahua, Mexico, and I moved here when I was 5, and been drawing ever since I can remember. And I'm super excited to be part of the Murals in the Market.
Wait! Stop saying you said been drawing since I was little. No, tell the story the way you told it. Like you were like. You knew you were into art since day one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but not just into art, but you were inspired by a lot of people around you that were entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Talk to me.
Ever since I was a kid, I was watching my uncle. He's an artist. He was a caricature artist. I remember hearing a story about him moving out to Cancun for a year just to try to see how it went. And he was drawing caricatures out on the beach for a year just to see how that would work. And then my mom, she was a singer too in Mexico, and she was raising us to make money singing, so I watched that happen. My dad, ever since he was a kid, he was out there hustling too, and he would rent out comic books. He would buy comic books, put them on a clothesline, and rent them out to people for like 5 pesos a comic book. So, he's out there hustling. And so those kind of stories, I was always watching them, I was hearing them. And then watching my uncle draw kind of inspired me. Ever since I could hold a pencil, I've been drawing too, trying to be like him. So, that was it. I knew I was going to be drawing for the rest of my life, and that's kind of that's kind of how I took it. And my parents were extremely supportive my whole life, so I'm super grateful for them, that's been it. I knew I wanted to draw, and that's what I've been sticking to my whole life.
So you're 5 years old, you're doing your thing in Mexico, and then your dad gets a job opportunity up here.
Yeah. So he was working in an automotive plant down in Chihuahua, and he worked his way up. He could speak some English, so people saw the use in that, and so they sent him up here for a job opportunity, and he brought us up with him. And it's been great to watch him grow too in his career. It's been super inspiring. So that's been a huge part of my inspiration too, and my goals.
Right. So yeah, we talk about how you've always been sort of business minded. You've always been the kid who can draw. So going to art school was always a focus in your life. It was never, you were sort of inspired by the streets, but you had a more, your focus was more on school and doing this as a living.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Something that is huge inspiration for me is my parents. They had their passions, but they had to do it. Wait for a second. They did what they had to do to give us some good opportunities, and so I knew I wanted to kind of dedicate myself to getting a degree and focusing on the academic portion of it and making something out of my passion. So I knew college. I felt like college was that route, and I definitely I met a lot of great people. A lot of my closest friends I met in college,
and I'm sure got exposed to different styles. A lot of times when people come up in one sort of avenue, like the streets, we keep saying, or graffiti, they're not really exposed to the different mediums that exist within the art. And I'm sure in college you really got your feet wet in a bunch of that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I've had some great mentors, and they all have been, they're kind of mixed media oriented. So I love messing around with, whether it be paint or charcoal or pastels, whatever it may be. I like to get my hands on it and seeing how they can all work together. And so that was a big thing for me, is being able to kind of take whatever material and make it happen with it.
Yeah. When I looked you up, like when I looked up your Facebook, it was really actually not a lot of art in it. It was. So I was just, we hadn't talked about this, but I just thought about it. Is that purpose that, that's sort of a persona over there, and then like your art's on Instagram?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that might be just a generational thing, but Facebook's always been like, friends and family type situations. And I got my Facebook art page, but I update my Instagram a lot more. That's just because when I was coming up, I think Instagram was like where everyone was posting their art. I just kind of stayed that way.
Okay.
I like to kind of keep things a little segmented like that.
Yeah.
And Instagram's always been a lot more intuitive for me in terms of sharing my work. So that's just where it's at.
No. I just thought about that. It popped into my head because I was looking you up, and I'm like, let me look at this, and I'm like, is this the right dude? Yeah. You know what I mean? I literally had to be like, all right, oh yeah, that's the right guy, because there was very little art on your Facebook page, but I get it. That's the professional side of things, and and like you said, your family. So I get it, man. I get it for sure.
Go ahead.
Not to get off track. So
sure.
Now you're thinking about going to college, and then you end up going to school. Going to art school.
Yeah.
And in art school, who'd you go to school with?
Oh, I went to school with Ed Ehrman and Michael Polakowski and some other Murals in the Market alumni. But they were huge friends of mine. I'm still friends, really close friends, and we just kind of help push each other. We tease each other a bit, we don't give each other too many compliments. We try to keep each other grounded a bit. So it's been great to come up with them and see their growth too, and see how far they've come too. So it's been great to watch that happen. Yeah, great friends.
Yeah, man. So you graduate from school. What was the next step for you?
Well, for me, it was just to keep that that creative momentum going from college. I feel like you're kind of in it when you're in college. You're kind of making all day, every day. You got stuff to do. So we want to keep that going. And so Mike and I and a couple other CCS alumni kind of wanted to get a studio space together so we can keep that momentum going. For a little while, we couldn't find anything, and then someone shot us an article about the Fisher Building, and
I'm laughing because Ed just wrote, "How much do clothes cost in the Matrix?"
In the Matrix. I think all black.
Yeah.
And I keep it simple, all black.
See, that's how your homies play you, man. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, we're out here trying to do some serious stuff, and he's over here clowning, dude. Right? You know what I'm saying? All right, so go ahead, continue. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So I lost my train of thought.
Right. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah. So yeah, we got an article sent to us of that the Fisher Building's trying to do artist spaces, and we didn't think, we were like, this is a Fisher Building? That's a dream, it's a beautiful building. We didn't think we'd be able to afford that and all this and all that, but they were super supportive, and we were able to get a space in there. There was 4 of us to begin with, and now we have 8 people in the studio space now. We go by Gold Top. You can look us up. And so, yeah, we're out there making art every day. It's a great time in there. You know, we just go in there and hang out and talk about art, talk about life, make some paintings. You know, take naps, do what we got to do.
And you also are part of the One Times Run family. I mean, you worked over in the warehouse as well, so you got to work with these guys in all facets of everything.
Yeah, man, it was great. I was super grateful that they were able to let me in and check out the behind the scenes, and I was able to help out at the 2018 Murals in the Market event. And so I was a wall manager. I was riding around the golf carts, giving all the artists water bottles and making sure they weren't dehydrated, and you know, having a good time and whatnot. So
were you like also using that time to like kind of pick people's brains about art and stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, I was, you know, I didn't really dive into the graffiti and mural world until Murals in the Market. So being able to see how people did these things, like with the rollers and all these different techniques, that was mind blowing for me. That was opened up a whole new world. So
yeah, because your first mural was in Murals in the Market.
Yeah, that was my first, you know, kind of solo project with. Well, actually, it was a collaboration with Mike, and it wasn't even supposed to happen. But you know, I think the opportunities lined up where we were able to jump on a wall and collaborate, and that was a great time too. Just to put things into practice that I was learning at the same time. So,
you were learning
yep.
at Murals in the Market for your first actual piece, man. That's insane. Like I had to ask, you know what I mean? There was maybe one other artist that we talked about that had that kind of a rise, man. Like, you know, right out of school, then Murals in the Market. I mean, but you worked on some other murals in Murals in the Market. You assisted on some stuff and did some.
Yeah. There's some artists that, you know, needed help projecting and stuff like that. So I was able to kind of, again, learn as I went, and you know, learn how to put something down on the wall first, and then, you know, all the layers that went down, how to use spray paint versus house paint. So, you know, I learned a lot for sure. It was a lot to take in.
Yeah, I'm sure, man. I'm sure. What was like your most memorable story of that year? Was there one story you could take away that you were like, wow, man, that blew my mind, dude? Like, that's on some other shit.
Yeah, like Saeed Dawkins, he did a wall over on Gratiot. I was helping him out too, buffing the wall, taping some stuff down. And he was mixing, I don't know if it was like paint thinner with some spray paint to get that golden, really fluid brush, you know, mixture. And he was going out there. You know, we had to get some different kind of chemicals for him to mix them with the paint and get it nice and fluid, like butter. And then he just went up there and did his thing. And that was crazy to me to see just the different mixed media approaches or problem solving that you had to do on the spot too when you need to get something done. But that kind of creativity, that like functional creativity, was really something I was trying to take into my work too.
Yeah.
So Saeed Dawkins, shouts out to him down in Mexico City. He taught some gems there for sure.
Nah, man. So you say, well, we were talking about your art, so let's talk about it right here, man. Let's talk about your piece. Well, this car is gonna come by, but let's start talking about it, man.
Sure.
You know,
this is Mama Mais. That's what her name is. She's kind of a matriarch of creation. I'm heavily inspired by Mesoamerican mythology and kind of magical realism. Guillermo del Toro is one of my biggest influences. I don't know if y'all seen his movies, but there's something so magical about his stories, yet so grounded in reality. So that's something I like to be inspired by and try to push that in my own work too. And so she's kind of this matriarch, this saint of creation. She takes some of the good dough from the corn, some of the good corn, bad corn, mix it into the dough and makes people out of it. And she's kind of like this character existing in the in-between realms, if you will. And I was trying to explore those ideas, but at the same time I was trying to learn how to use the materials at this scale, because I don't paint like this typically. Well, I paint like this, but it's at a way smaller scale. So being able to take that and try to use spray paint and house paint and mix them all together at this scale was huge for me. It was a great learning experience, but I had a great time on this wall.
So did you project, or did you just take it from a photo, like just off your head? Or
no, I try to plan things out for sure. I drew this out, sketch of this out The background wasn't really kind of figured out, just mainly her and the corn and the basket. So I transferred that, I projected it, just the line work first. And then I went in there with a red house paint and kind of went over, I projected onto the yellow wall first, and then I went in with the red after it was projected and get some general tones in there. That's where you got this overall kind of red tone covering the whole figure. And then I went in there with, more house paint and started rendering. But mostly like the corn, that was big for me to mess around with the spray paint. And then I went in with house paint on top. So it was just a back and forth, between the house paint and what that could do for me, and the control of the brush with the house paint.
How long did it take you to do it?
Man, I was up here till the very last day. I was the last lift out here because I was taking my time. I was learning a lot, so I made some mistakes and I had to fix them. And
okay.
So 6 days. 6 days.
6 days.
From 10 in the morning till sundown. So however long that was.
Okay, man, that's putting in work, man. And it was a hot year that year, man.
Oh yeah. Fortunately, I only got sun like half the day. At 12:01 exactly, the sun was out of my face.
Right.
And
right.
So after that, it was just cruising, hanging out here with Nick and Brian and Lindy and Ed. It was a good time. I was out here playing music, playing my cumbias. So I was showing them how I did out here.
Right. So, what have you done? Any stuff? What have you done since this mural project? I mean, as far as murals.
As far as murals, actually, not too much really.
Just been focused on
painting.
work.
Yeah, I just been painting actually on a larger scale. So like 3 foot by 3 foot panels.
Okay.
I'm painting at, trying to get some of that same energy stuff I learned from this mural down to a smaller kind of scale. I like that 3 by 3 scale is big enough for me to mess around like this, but it's still small enough for me to work in my studio. So that's been big. Just trying to work at a larger panel size as opposed to a big mural like this. I did do a mural on my parents' garage during COVID. There's a lot of people walking behind our house because we got a field out there and some woods. So people were taking walks during the quarantine.
Yeah.
And I painted a jaguar on the back of the garage. So, trying to bring in some color to people's lives while they were taking their COVID walks.
Right, man. Because COVID has people locked up, man. You've been working on some salsa during COVID, right?
Oh, yeah, I've been making it.
You talked about that passion.
Oh yeah, something about making salsa reminds me a lot of painting. I don't know, for some reason it always comes back to painting, but the mixing of ingredients and trying to understand the qualities of each one, trying to mix them together, make something explosive and magical. That was huge for me to slow down and kind of okay, what does this mango do with the habanero, and how do they mix together? And that's been a huge passion of mine lately, is just to make different batches of salsas and give them to my friends and torture them because they can't handle the spice. But that's okay, they'll learn.
Yeah, no, for sure. So is this sort of a style that's sort of consistent with you, or do you do whatever you feel at that time, or do you try to stay with sort of your own inside your, for lack of a better phrase, heritage when it comes to this type of art?
Yeah, I think, during college I was exposed to so many different styles and approaches that that's something that I've always struggled with, is staying consistent. But I think something was born out of this where I was able to really show my true colors in terms of the kind of content, the kind of colors I wanted to use. And ever since this mural, actually, I've been able to put all that stuff aside and really focus on trying to emulate those colors that are deep within me, from my heritage, and I try to project those outwards, almost like a reverse assimilation, if you will. I've had to learn how to adapt in the States, and maybe put aside some aspects of myself so I can better fit in and make friends and whatnot. And I think at this mural kind of taught me to just put all that aside and paint what feels right. And all these bright colors, all these flavors, if you will, that's what feels right.
So do you teach that when you're teaching? Because now, take it full circle,
yeah,
you're actually teaching at CCS, teaching art.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So do you bring a lot of that out in the lesson that you talk?
Absolutely. obviously we want to try to teach them the fundamentals, but at the same time, if something feels right to them, I try to tell them to lean into that. Because you can't shy away from yourself your whole life. You got to lean into your, maybe your shortcomings, maybe your weaknesses. Maybe you lean into them and make them your strengths. So that's something I'm trying to get across to all my students, is to lean into your weaknesses, lean into your the things that make you do.
Does it feel weird teaching teaching it in our school? Because I got to keep it real. Like, it's funny. I didn't finish college. Like, a lot of people are like, "Where'd you go to college?" I went to college, and I speak at colleges. And I always say, I'm bugged out right now because I'm speaking at a college. Yeah, I didn't finish this shit. So, like, do you ever, like, get there and you're like, this is crazy that I've taken this road and now I'm here, teaching art.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. Every single day I show up to class, it's like, am I being thorough enough? And, there's that self-doubt that's like, I'm at a college level. Am I talking about this stuff enough?
Yeah.
At the same time, it's something I love talking about, so I'm not too worried about it. It's definitely, it's a weird world to try to teach in right now. So, I try not to stress out the students too much, but I do try to lay down the truth too at the same time.
Yeah, because how do you really teach art virtually? We're talking about school, and we're talking about the lockdown and the possibility of going more into lockdown. How do you teach art? A visual, I know it's visual, but you're talking about, 3D, like, and different ways of teaching. How do you do that?
Well, I think first and foremost, if you're not passionate about it, that's not going to translate virtually. So I love talking about art. If I can just be excited about what I'm talking about, be passionate about it, then hopefully that'll rub off on them too, or that'll keep them interested, if you will. So that's the main thing, is I think not letting it all get to you and being excited about what you're talking about is the first thing. And then the next thing is being able to show it. Can you giving demos has been, I think, something that's been exciting for the students. I'm not just talking about it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to show you how to do it. So that's been exciting too, because kids nowadays are pretty overstimulated with all the content out there, and they're watching a lot of tutorial videos and whatnot. So I'm trying to keep the energy up alongside the other stuff that they're watching too. And that's the other thing, is being aware of what's out there and how they're consuming media, and I guess because that's what we're competing with now, virtual colleges, all the other stuff out on the internet, how exciting, and all these YouTubers are doing all these elaborate things to talk about what they're passionate about. So we got to kind of take on some of that too. And that's been an ordeal to take on, but I'm learning a lot, and I've been excited to do it. So
yeah, man. So do you get students who come in now, because I can only imagine that over the course of time, the amount of students that come in and say, I want to be a street artist, or are more focused on this type of art, are coming out of the woodwork, as before as you just sort of found graffiti or found street art. Do you see a larger influx of students who are just really focused on this?
It's strange, because I don't think so, really. They're all really influenced by anime and animation and stuff like that. So street art, I think, it's crazy, because they're not going out like we used to, going out into the world like we used to. I think they're a little bit more homebodies now, so they're influenced by other things, but they see this stuff and they see the allure of it, so I'm putting them onto it. Actually, I feel like I'm showing them all the artists that influenced me, Mr. Aris, he's a Spanish muralist. You got Tomo Miel, you got them Dutch muralists too. So I'm trying to show them how they're doing it, because that stuff can translate to the other work too. So I feel like I'm putting them onto the street art and mural scene more so than they are. So.
Right. So what's the next medium then? If they're doing anime, where does that exist? Because I don't know. I'm clueless. I'm an old motherfucker, so I don't know where I know what anime is, but I don't get what are they doing? What is the next step? What is the next form of art?
Yeah, that's a big question. I don't know, man. I just think it's a lot of it's smaller animation, kind of you got GIFs right now, and
so instantaneous. All that shit is just so.
Exactly, some quick animation stuff, because you got to think about how people are consuming the visual arts. It's mainly through their phone. So, whether it be like augmented reality, can you take this app, and maybe superimpose your art on a wall, or can you like project? I don't know, man. It's just like GIFs, VR, AR, it's a variety of things. And I'm trying to teach them the allure of like the traditional media, but that's just me. And maybe I'm an old head too.
Nah. I think we all know, and people might want to take shortcuts, but the truth is, the more you know about the history of things, and the more you're versed. Like when I grew up, man, believe it or not, when I went to school, we had to learn how to do reel-to-reel tape. We had to learn how to literally cut tape, splice that shit together, and play it. Even though that was an antiquated technology that people hadn't used in years. And I say now, it definitely helps me in my listening and editing, doing things. So old history and all that stuff definitely plays in, man. We can't let it go away.
No, and that's something that I repeat myself a lot in class. And one of the things I say is, you got to know the rules to break the rules, So
Right.
That's been big.
Like that.
I say it maybe 3 times in class. And mainly because I feel like they're not listening, but one day when they're older and I'm old, that they're gonna be like, "Damn, what do you say? You gotta know the rules to break the rules."
Right.
I think that's just gonna, that's gonna translate into a whole lot of things.
Man, that's one of those sayings that, like, for real, I've heard a million times, and I'm hearing it now, and I'm like, that shit makes sense.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, you gotta know the foundation of something before you can go on and change it. So you gotta know, what you like about it, what works, what's timeless, what stands the test of time, and then what you can change that, then to make it new and to make it different. Because you got to know what's out there now to be new, to be different.
Yeah, man. These kids, I say this all the time. These kids today always bypassing shit, man. So all right, what is going on? So you're teaching right now. What is going on the art front, man? Like, do you have anything that's coming up anytime in the near future?
Yeah, so I'm working on a series of works on paper. It's in the works right now, and I'm working on some other, some private commissions. So I'm trying to bring these kind of stories to life, and so that's coming to life in paintings, a series of paintings. So I'm just in the studio painting right now. I'm just trying to do these like 3x3 panels. And have fun with them, not try to get too bogged down on what it should look like or what it, what it shouldn't look like. I'm just trying to paint it, not put too much pressure, because there's a lot of pressure to do a lot of things right now, especially during COVID. So I'm just trying to, try to understand what these stories are, because there's a lot of, Mexican American artists coming up right now, and I'm trying to tell some stories that maybe resonate with them and inspire them too, to kind of keep making art. Because I think, we live in a world right now where our parents, we're kind of teaching our parents now, I guess, kind of our experience and what we're learning from it, as, kids of immigrants. And there's a lot of things that I think we're learning about being introspective and, the effects of immigration on us. So I'm trying to paint stories that tell those stories, and make paintings that tell those stories, and hopefully inspire kids to look into themselves and maybe show it to their parents, and they can talk about some things that might help some healing, if you will.
Absolutely.
So that's what's in the works right now. I'm just trying to paint some stories that need to be told, I think.
And provide some healing, man, because we need it right now.
Oh, absolutely. We
definitely need it, man. If you could, put together a perfect project. I've never asked this question, but like if you had, your finances were unlimited right now, and somebody said, let's put together a project, what would that project look like?
Man, probably be something along the lines of, you take an empty room, maybe, blank walls everywhere, and, paint murals like this, kind of encapsulate almost like an otherworldly experience for people to walk through, with kind of some magical realism and some folk tales of, Mesoamerica, and maybe something with Guillermo del Toro. Maybe he's directing and I'm painting, or vice versa, something like that. Somewhere that takes people out of their moment right now and makes them think, ask questions, and kind of be in this otherworldly scenario, I think. But it definitely has to do with painting, and it definitely has to do with colors, bringing some of those flavors to your eyes. And that's what the dream project would be, to just bring flavors to your eyes.
Yeah, man. Flavors to your eyes.
Yep.
Once again, every week I get a gem dropped on me. If we want to support you right now, other than taking a class at CCS, where can we get your art? Where do you have your website? Where?
Yeah.
Give us your info.
So, you can find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. It's at @imontoya_. There's got a link to my website there. That's imontoyaillustration.com. I have a store up, and I'm about to be dropping a lot of prints too from all these paintings that have come out of quarantine. So, check that out. And I'm gonna be bringing more flavors to your eyes. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, Ivan Montoya, thank you for coming out today, man. It's kind of cold out here.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
You know what I'm saying? We're dancing and we're standing in the shade, but I can't thank you enough for coming out and hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out to another Murals in the Market Live, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Listen, man, not only do we do awesome shit like talk to artists every Saturday at 11 a.m., we also do tours of this. We do tours of Murals in the Market. So if you want more information on how you can do a tour of Murals in the Market and obtain amazing information that I learned from the artists that I can pass along to you firsthand, you can get that at Ride Detroit, RIDETROIT, ridedetroit.com. Go there. We do e-bike and walking tours. Other than that, man, I hope you got a good listen in. And every week I learn that not only are these artists amazing with their hands and visually, but the reason that they're here doing what they're doing is because they're amazing in the mind as well. All right, everybody, do your information. Check out Ivan. All right, everybody. See you next week.